Up the pipe!
G'day guys, Nate here. Any Victorian club out there that is not interested in Bailey Humphrey right now is a bum. I'm just starting off with that. My original plans for this video was going to discuss Clayton Oliver, the needs, the pros and cons of adding Clayton Oliver to our list, or our midfield to be exact. But then last night, bit of a bombshell, I guess, smoke to the fire right now, according to Samuel Edmund, Carlton Radio, SEN Radio, saying that Bailey Humphrey could explore a move back to Victoria, and clubs have inquired about it. Melbourne, Carlton, and Collingwood. Linking star players and youngsters to Collingwood, a tale as old as time. That's what we're going to deal with in this upcoming trade period. For Pies fans, if you're expecting a big fish in this trade period, don't get your hopes up on that one. I don't expect any major stories or developments or any major big fish coming to Collingwood this off-season. Maybe next year, that's most likely, but if you're going into this trade period expecting someone like Bailey Humphrey and Clayton Oliver to come to Collingwood, just be prepared to be upset on that one. My expectations, and I've said this in my last few videos, don't expect this to be a major trade haul for Collingwood here. Expect us to get deals done to acquire our needs and wants. Jack Buller up forward, Jacob Blight, key defender. But in regards to Bailey Humphrey and Clayton Oliver, look, there's smoke to the fire. I am going to discuss this here in this video. But for Bailey Humphrey, I don't have the stats with me here, but just look at his second quarter against Fremantle, elimination final, 3 goals. That's all you need to know. That's someone, Dustin Martin potential, someone that's going to be likened to Christian Petrarca, Isaac Heaney, lesser extent Jordan De Goey when he's fully fit and firing, but you get the drill. He's a half-forward danger player, absolute game changer, someone that's going to develop, someone that's going to improve on his potential in the coming years. Loves the contested footy as well, kicks a goal, he's accumulating disposals recently, and he's going to improve on that as well. So with the Petrarca news or nominating Gold Coast, it's going to likely hinder someone like Bailey Humphrey next year. Does he look at Melbourne or coming to Victoria, particularly Melbourne, for example? Carlton will be in the mix. They'll get their compensation picks for TDK and Jack Silvani. They'll move around the draft board yet again like last year. That's what I'm expecting from Carlton again this year. They'll bring in their players again. They're linked to 5 players coming in, and then they'll make a play for Bailey Humphrey. That's my expectations of Carlton. And for Collingwood, if Gold Coast is willing to prepare or accept a hot dog and a handshake or a 2003 Blockbuster gift card for $50, then we'll be in the mix. But as things stand with Bailey Humphrey, look, we don't have a first rounder here. And Bailey Humphrey is someone that you throw all the future picks, all the draft, all or the potential of a star player or two to trade to Gold Coast to bring in Bailey Humphrey. And look, to be honest, Bo McCreary, Bobby Hill have been linked to Gold Coast. Thanks, Jonathan Ralph. Jordan De Goey, someone like his stature, his caliber, would be what Gold Coast are interested in from Collingwood. But as things stand, it's going to be very difficult to bring in someone like Bailey Humphrey with the draft hand we've got, the players we have as well. Gold Coast will ask the question, and they'll ask why Jordan De Goey, why Bobby Hill, why Bo McCreary, someone like that. All right, it's nothing official, speculated on, but I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, if Bailey Humphrey said he wants to come back to Victoria and only wants to nominate Collingwood, by all means, we look into it, we go for it. You'd be silly not to ask the question for Bailey Humphrey. I know he's linked to Melbourne, Carlton, Collingwood, but someone like Richmond, someone like North Melbourne, they're not even linked to him. You'd ask the question, surely. If you're not asking the question, what the hell are you doing? But that's on Bailey Humphrey and the Gold Coast Suns and possible trade murmurs there. Just for the trade period, that starts officially October 6th. My plans for the trade period is I'll do a recording and uploaded video on each night. So I'm recording this video on my lunch break on Friday. This will be my last upload or recording done in my lunch break. So going forward, working in the office next week and the week after, I'll do the recordings after work. Just a basic recap, 5-10 minutes, give or take a few minutes here and there. Just going over Collingwood's days and rumours and recaps and whatnot. And then once October 15 is done, that's that massive final day of trades, I'll do a full recap, either October 16 or October 17, rating our performance and trade period. Did we win the trade period? Did we not win the trade period? Basically covering what we need to bring in, what goes out, what comes in. You get the drill. You get the basic gist of it all. That's the trade period for you. Again, we'll be linked to every player, I guess, in the mix and whatnot. Don't get your hopes up. Just get what we need, sort of thing. And then who knows from there. For Clayton Oliver, this is basically what I'm going to be discussing in this video. He what a day he had Thursday, being abused and annoyed by Mitch Cleary. Fair enough. I mean, what the hell are you doing as a journalist? But Clayton Oliver did have an interesting Thursday. He was summoned to a meeting with Stephen King, the new Melbourne coach. Performance review, I guess, from HR, I guess. But Clayton Oliver had his exit meeting, or basically an emergency meeting just to discuss his role and future at Melbourne, what they expect from him going forward, if he is to stay at Melbourne. But as things stand right now with Clayton Oliver, it doesn't look like he will be staying at Melbourne. And that just poked the hornet's nest of Clayton Oliver and just teams being interested in inquiring about Clayton Oliver. It turns out Melbourne's willing to pay up to $700,000 a year for the next 5 years to have Clayton Oliver off their list. Not off their books per se, but off their list. Unbelievable. Long-term contracts are not a thing anymore. Just what the hell were Melbourne doing with that sort of deal? 5 years left to run on his contract, and they're willing to pay up to half of that deal to get him off. Uh, yeah, and that's why Collingwood's in the mix. You think if Clayton Oliver remains in Victoria and if he's off Melbourne's books or list overall, then he's most likely linked to Collingwood. And for good reason as well. I'll discuss that a little bit more. But his Thursday was very interesting. Their list manager released a statement. That's how big this was. But their statement read, today was a good chance to sit down with Clayton and share how Stephen and the coaches see the game being played and where the opportunities lie for him. We were up front with Clayton around the role he is likely to play next season and the need for him to develop his craft beyond the midfield to have his biggest impact within the team. It was honest and respectful, and Clayton is now clear on what we see his role being next year and how we think he can best contribute. Clayton is contracted for another 5 years. If he wants to explore his options in the upcoming AFL trade period, we will respect that. Should he remain in the red and blue, we will, of course, continue to support and embrace him as part of our club. So that's the update on Clayton Oliver. He's off on a holiday. He might be going overseas. I'm not too sure, but that's all Clayton Oliver right there. As obviously stated, Collingwood would be in the mix. They'd be stupid not to be in the mix. Half of the competition would be in the mix for Clayton Oliver. I think GWS would be head and shoulders the front runners there. They got the best deal. I'll discuss that a little bit more. And Adelaide, I think, would be the next best suitor for Clayton Oliver. Christian Petrarca nominating Gold Coast this morning. Therefore, Adelaide would have to inquire about Clayton Oliver, obviously. Hawthorn's in the mix for Zach Merritt, obviously. If they can't get him, then the next best option would be Clayton Oliver, even though they're not the same sort of player. But to get a big fish midfielder, Hawthorn would be in the mix. Collingwood, obviously, in the mix. I've already displayed his stats for 2025. 562 disposals for the year. Again, 22 games. He missed one game due to personal reasons or mental health. 4 goals, but most importantly, no Brownlow votes. 562 disposals, averaging 25.5 disposals a game. 264 contested possessions, averaging 12 contested possessions a game. 121 clearances, 5.5 clearances a game. 119 tackles, basically 5.5 tackles a game. 120 score involvements, also 5.5 score involvements a game. 83 inside 50 entries, basically 4 inside 50 entries a game. His kicking efficiency lets him down at times, but his pressure around the footy makes up for it, I reckon. 184 ground ball gets, basically a similar mould to Ned Long, more experienced, more advanced, more skillful, more experience as well. Clayton Oliver, we know his background, his personal history, and also just his off-field circumstances in the last couple of years have impacted the way he plays the game and his stats overall. So I'm going to display his last 5 years and his season averages, his disposals, contested possessions, clearances, tackles, and also Brownlow votes. I know Brownlow votes doesn't mean a thing here, but just look at his 2021 season. Premiership year, 31.5 disposals a game, half or more of those disposals, more than half of that to be contested possessions. 7.5 clearances, 5.5 tackles, 31 Brownlow votes, finishing third that year. 2022 went up another level, 32.7 disposals a game, averaging 17.7 contested possessions, 8.6 clearances, 5.5 tackles, 25 Brownlow votes, equal fourth that year. 2023, 30 disposals, 14.6 contested possessions, 6.9 clearances, 6.7 tackles, and 6 Brownlow votes. A bit surprising there, but then the off-field stuff and the personal stuff happened in the off-season there, and that was the first year of being linked in the trade period. Didn't happen. 2024 had a down year, 23 disposals a game, 11 contested possessions, 4.4 clearances, 4 tackles a game, only 5 Brownlow votes. Slight improvement this year, 22 games this time around, 25.5 disposals a game, 12 contested possessions a game, 5.5 clearances, 5.4 tackles, but most importantly, no Brownlow votes. Clayton Oliver, with those stats, would be our second best midfielder. I'm going to display an image or stats that I brought up in my areas of improvement. And you look at our midfielders or just our star players accumulating disposals outside of Nick Dacos. Again, Nick Dacos averaging 30 disposals a game this year. Josh Dacos averaging 26.8 disposals a game across half back. Tom Mitchell, 23.3 from only 4 games. Pendlebury, 22 disposals a game. Sidebottom, 21 disposals a game. Crisp, 20. Ned Long, just under 18. Perryman, 15. DeGoey, 15 from half a season's worth of games. Ed Allen, 13 disposals. McCreary, 11. And Sullivan, 10, or just under 11. You understand why I'm intrigued and interested about Clayton Oliver. He'd be our number 2 midfielder. Despite being a little bit down from his usual self or his usual best, would still be our number 2 midfielder. And coming to Collingwood, he wouldn't have massive expectations or overall pressure. Slightly similar to Tom Mitchell, but we brought in Tom Mitchell in 2023. He was 29 going on 30. Clayton Oliver next year is 28 going on 29. We had Tom Mitchell on a 3-year deal. He's been told to look elsewhere. Clayton Oliver, he can provide 3 good years at Collingwood, being a number 2 midfielder, and a few extra years in between as well. So that's why I'm intrigued on Clayton Oliver. That's why I think we should have a look at Clayton Oliver, even though GWS and I think Adelaide will be the front runners there. If Clayton Oliver looks interstate, if he wants to remain in Victoria, I know it's been all of a sudden with these trade murmurs and links and whatnot, but if he wants to stay in Victoria and be more settled, then I think Collingwood would need to come calling on this one. And just some other team stats as well for Collingwood, and I will talk about this in my season review. Got this to the screen here. Total disposals on average this year, Collingwood were 13th. Contested possessions, Collingwood were 14th. Clearances, 15th. Centre clearances, 12th. Stoppage clearances, 14th. Clayton Oliver in our midfield would improve on this for Collingwood. Our clearance work, contested possessions. I know it's not how you win these games, gaining territory, being efficient and whatnot. But that's what Nick Dacos can do. That's what Josh Dacos can do. It's what Jordan DeGoey can do if he plays a full season. It's what Harry Perryman can do if he plays in the midfield. Ned Long can continue being an enforcer in the midfield, but Clayton Oliver can do a little bit of everything. Similar to Tom Mitchell in 2023, we can have 2023 Tom Mitchell for 3+ years, and that's through Clayton Oliver. So the problem with this is, and the title of this video, why getting these trade deals done would be difficult for us. We don't have a first round pick right now. Our current draft hand is all linked to Zach McCarthy, Tom McGuan, Jacek Senna, maybe if they're rookie listed or not. But we do have our future first, future second, and also 2027 future first and future second. So basically a future first. An F1, an F2, an FF1, an FF2, whatever you want to call it. Could Collingwood be the first team to offer up their future first rounder? We like to trade away our future firsts and work around that. That could be in the mix. Another thing to factor in for Melbourne as well. Christian Petrarca linked to Gold Coast. Stephen May being told to look elsewhere. Judd McPhee nominating Fremantle. That will likely be a solid second rounder done for Judd McPhee to Fremantle. And Charlie Spargo will go to North Melbourne as an unrestricted free agent and likely gets a second round compensation pick for that. Now, the thing about that is if Brody Myercheck is all but secured in going to Melbourne, then that will likely dilute that pick for Spargo. And does Melbourne want to dilute that pick in this year's draft? That's up to them. If they want to dilute it, then they'll get my check for free or next to nothing, or he's an unrestricted free agent, so basically free. But if they don't want to dilute that pick, then a trade would need to be done. And I think a trade could be done to bring my check or take my check to Melbourne to bring in Clayton Oliver to Collingwood. It's not a straight swap. I'll make that obvious right there. It's not a straight swap, but Melbourne have shown their hand. If they're willing to pay half of Clayton Oliver's salary, then I don't think a first rounder gets done. But I do think a 2027 future first rounder gets done for this one alongside my check. And obviously sweetened picks as well, late picks to be thrown around as well. But that's for the list managers and trade negotiators to figure out. But the meat and potatoes of a trade to be done here would be Clayton Oliver in for a 2027 first rounder. We keep our 2026 first rounder because there's rules and regulations to keep a first rounder to use in the draft period. Our last first rounder used was on Demaria in 2023. We didn't use one last year. We won't use one this year, most likely, but we need to use one in 2026. And I think that could be the case here. I'm not too sure what players we're linked to in 2027, but that's something to figure out. But in regards to the stats mentioned on Clayton Oliver, it's worth bringing in, I reckon. Being a number 2 midfielder, Josh Dacos playing midfield next year, Perryman hopefully plays midfield, hopefully Jordan De Goey has a solid full season next year, healthy as well. I know with Bailey Humphrey, that's going to be even more difficult to trade up there, but they'll most likely inquire about a player to bring up there. Jamie Elliott staying at Collingwood. Does that mean Bobby Hill, McCreary, or Jordan De Goey? Again, all speculated on. Do they need to go up to Gold Coast to get this deal done for Bailey Humphrey? But that's all I watch this space. The trade period officially starts on Monday, October 6th. Free agency starts officially today, October 3rd. And as of this recording, in my lunch break, no updates on Brody Myercheck just yet. The Copeland Trophy is tonight. We might find out officially tonight about Brody Myercheck. That's all I watch this space. If there's any updates on Brody Myercheck from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. or during the editing process of this video and then uploading this video, I'll display this in the comment section. I might do a brief update on Brody Myercheck in my season review. So it's all I watch this space there. But in regards to Clayton Oliver and Bailey Humphrey, trade deals to be done for them, most likely very difficult to be done, most likely not going to happen this year. But the front runners for Clayton Oliver, if he leaves Melbourne, would be GWS and Adelaide if he looks into state. But if he stays in Victoria, then Collingwood would be the front runner there. Bailey Humphrey, if he comes to Victoria, I think Melbourne and Carlton be 1 and 2 right there. Collingwood, slight distant third there, but you never know. We've sold him the vision. Does he accept it? We'll find out. But again, Bailey Humphrey's list manager did say this morning as well they're not interested in dealing with Bailey Humphrey leaving, but it's all to watch this space. I keep saying that. I'll leave you guys all to it though. Thank you guys for watching. My next upload will be Saturday morning, going over the Copeland Trophy. Sunday, 5 p.m. most likely, the season and team review, player analysis and whatnot. Then after that, I'll be recording part 3 of our season review on Black and White United's YouTube channel. And then after that, next week, October 6 onwards, nothing but trade murmurs and whatnot. Trade recaps, updates, rumours, murmurs. Am I going to be drafted, traded? I don't know. It's all I watch this space. I'll leave you guys all to it. Hope you guys have had a good week. Please be well. Please be safe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Up the pies.
Up the pies!